Hey, welcome back to the 30-inch step. I'm Gunnery Sergeant Brian Griffith, United States Marine Corps, retired. I'm sitting here with Joel Altman. Joel and I go way back, Blue Ash Elementary.
All the way back there.
Yeah, man. It's we've known each other for like 40 years.
Pretty much late 1980s. Yeah.
That's wild. So I got Joel with me here today because he's a Coast Guard vet and has been a federal officer and a police officer. And he's got all kinds of cool stuff that he does even today. So I'd like to kind of highlight that with him today. So tell me, Joel, what was it like growing up in Blue Ash? And then go into kind of what was your influences that kind of pushed you down the road that you've taken professionally?
Well, first thing, Brian, cheers and thank you, man, for having me on this.
Yeah, man.
It's a great honor for me. It's my first podcast, actually. So.
Oh, this is fun then.
It's pretty.
This is my first ever podcast doing it.
Okay.
Like so.
It's got the whole setup and everything. It's pretty wild.
I'm kind of I'm the grassroots type of guy. So.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go way back to the beginning, basically. I grew up, was born and raised in Sharonville, which is right next to Blue Ash. So for the first 6 years of my life, from 81 to 87, we lived in Sharonville. And that was always a big influence on me later in life. Not so much at the time, although I do remember and have just absolutely fond memories of growing up there. And in that time period of our country, which I think the mid...
Oh, my God. The 80s were incredible.
The mid-80s as a young person, a child growing up, and just...
Oh, my gosh.
Just in that era with the Reds and everything. It was just a great time.
Even in Blue Ash, man, just the fireworks. Like, we'd sit on the lawn of the municipal building, and they set off the fireworks where the hospice is.
I remember
now.
That. Yep.
And so, like, that was our early childhood.
Yeah. And just a great place in our country to grow up. I think the Cincinnati region, Northern Kentucky region is just one of the best places you can live, and we were blessed to be here and grow up here and be born here. So
absolutely.
I lived there for 6 years. Then my parents, we moved to Blue Ash, which is the community next door. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Cincinnati area, Blue Ash, Montgomery, Sharonville, very similar.
Yeah,
just outer suburbs of Cincinnati. So moved to Blue Ash in 87, went to elementary school. That's probably where we met, somewhere in that period.
Yeah.
I don't remember, those grades that well. I do remember parts of
first, second, third grade.
Fourth grade, I remember.
Were there.
Yeah.
Fourth grade, of course.
Yeah, I remember fourth grade a lot more than the other ones. But we were in school at Blue Ash Elementary, and then we eventually moved to E.H. Green, which is the middle school, and then the junior high,
and then on to the high school. Yeah,
high school. So I just lived a normal, I would say, middle class life, and had great parents at the time, and grew up playing baseball and just having fun and just be like not knowing what the world was and just totally
naive, almost a naiveness.
We'd get out on our bikes in the summer and not come back till dark. And nobody knew where we were.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
So
I remember those commercials, and then if you heard MASH, it was time to go to bed.
So I mean, my parents were kind of, I wouldn't say they were hands off, but they let us do what we wanted, and we just luckily didn't get killed or abducted, and we made it. So that's good.
That sounds like most of us in the Cincinnati area.
Yeah. So rode our bikes, played at the rec center, and just had a great childhood, great time growing up. But I remember early on learning about my grandfathers, both of them, their service in World War II. They were both in the Army. My mom's dad talked a lot more about the war and his experience than my dad's dad. My dad's dad had been wounded, didn't really ever talk about it. We didn't have at the time, any information other than he had like basically a hole in his arm
from shot
or shrapnel from an explosion. Wow. He was at the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh my
goodness. Got wounded there. But that's all we really know. He never talked about it, but he he loved his country, and he kind of instilled that in me as well as my other grandfather.
Well, I feel like that generation was very stoic.
Yes.
And they I don't mean to sound, because my grandfather never talked about any of this stuff either, and it wasn't until after my grandmother passed away that my dad and my uncle were talking to him, and he told him a story, and my dad didn't tell me until I had been in the Marine Corps almost 15 years. So uh, definitely a stoic generation. So
Yeah, and it took me many really decades after they both passed to learn about like how you can get their records, and then I
yeah,
sent off for both the records, and it took almost a year to get those back from them.
maybe me and you need to talk about that sometime.
I mean, it's
'cause
really neat to
I
yeah.
tried,
Oh,
and they sent me. I thought I filled everything out properly, and they sent me a letter and was like, "Oh, you need to fill this out." And I'm like,
yeah. I help
"Are you
veterans
kidding me?"
now try to get their records, and that's happened to us too, and it's very frustrating because then you got to start again. And
Yeah,
it takes forever. Yeah,
yeah.
very slow, but I eventually got both their records. This is around 2008 or 10, and it was like wow, like I had no idea. Like they were highly decorated. One was a sniper. Like just all
Holy
this stuff.
cow,
It was pretty cool. And to see all the
that's
stuff and
incredible!
to send the medals and all this with it. So it was really neat to see all that. But
Wow.
they were a big part of my life. They passed away. Within. I mean, it was 94 and then 90. Well, I guess it would have been 2012 for the other one. So he lived a long time. He was 93.
Wow.
My dad's dad passed away. I think he was 74. I
Yeah,
believe. So,
my grandfather was 75 when he passed in
so
93.
yeah. So like I some of the things I regret in life was not. But I was so young. But like
Right.
wish I had gotten to know
Right.
him better and talk
Right.
to him and
Been able to actually
Right.
sit down and
Right.
and have the face to face. I finally I was thinking about this a few months ago, and when I first started really putting pen to paper for this show, I went back to Brittany's grandfather and sitting with him. The first time I met him, he was the type, grew up in a German family, that kind of thing, and so anybody that comes in the door, hey, you want a beer? And so he was very welcoming. He was very interested in me because I had been to Iraq, and in his office he had a newspaper clipping of a map of Iraq and like the tracks that all the units and stuff had gone. So me and him are sitting at a family picnic, and he starts asking me about my service, and I was like, well, Brittany told me that you were a belly gunner on a B-17, and he started talking about some of the stuff, and it was shared experience that opened him up just enough that he started telling me a story, and I'm watching around me in my peripheral and saw all of her family coming around listening to us talk, and afterwards they're coming up to me going, I never heard that. He never said anything about that.
Yeah.
And so, coming up with the idea of this, it was a World War II veteran that really sparked the interest of just getting to know other vets and their story.
Yep.
So, um, so it seems like that's a huge influence that your grandfather's had on you.
And I think too, like looking back, I always tried to walk the straight and narrow path to be in a place where I could eventually serve in some capacity. I stayed out of trouble. I was always there in like the background, like right and wrong and good and evil. So that was always there because I think I knew early on I wanted to be in some sort of military or law enforcement.
Yeah,
or something.
paramilitary, sure.
And then you kind of you live your life. You go through school. In high school, like I did well. I just didn't like. I didn't. I
you
guess
stayed
I
out
could
of
say-
trouble.
Well, that plus like I didn't really care like at the time because you're 16, 15, 16, 17 years old.
Oh,
like,
right.
What am I going to do with my life? I don't know. I want to make some money.
I'm
and,
just ready to get on to the
yeah,
next
like
day.
you have no idea. And then you or at least for me, I worked pretty much from like 10th grade through high school every weekend. And
Right.
Worked at the Shays
Right.
up in Montgomery and restaurant. And it was great. It was fun. We had a lot of fun and just a lot of good times. But I worked every weekend. Like I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do in life. And then it's graduation time, June '99. And it's
Oh, what do I do?
What am I going to do? Oh, you're going to go to Ohio
Yeah,
State.
you're going to
And I'm like,
college.
yeah, and I'm like, okay. And then
All right.
and I got there and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I get there and the two idiots in the room next to me are two idiots from Sycamore High School. Like, I'm like, I came all the way up here to be next to these clowns. Like, this is crazy. And
Yeah.
then college to me, I mean, I hate to say this, but unless you're going to be like a doctor or a physicist or an engineer, like, what a waste of time and money.
Well, and I look at myself, right? I did just the military track, right? I tried college. I went to University of Cincinnati for a year. I like to party too much. Go figure. I joined the Marine Corps, right?
Yeah, you fit in perfect.
But I found myself like questioning everything that I was doing. I'm like, what am I doing? I had already said that I wanted to join, and my brother had joined the year before off of the recruiting card that I gave him, and so, um, you know, he leaves, and I'm like, all right, I might as well, why not? So in April of 2000, I was like, raise my right hand, and I left a few months later, but like the whole what do I do with my life? And I look at I took some college courses along the way, but I never really got like sucked into that, and especially now with how colleges are, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. And I came this close to joining the Army that freshman year. It was probably even before the end of first quarter. I mean, I met with the recruiter and
Wow.
everything, and then
So it's still 99.
yeah, it would have been
Wow.
like going into winter of 99 into 2000. So
Wow.
I came real close, and then eventually met my future wife at the time. So I kind of stuck around and didn't do it. But after 2 years of being at Ohio State, I was like, this is, other than my wife, future wife, and the fraternity I was in, and the friends I had from that, it was just like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this is a total waste of time.
Yeah.
But then and everybody's life in this entire country and the world changed on 9/11.
Yeah, it did.
And that changed my entire trajectory because now I had like a purpose. Like, okay, I'm going to serve. I want to do something. And I didn't join the military at that time.
What did you end up getting a degree in?
Criminal justice.
Oh, right.
I transferred to UC.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Sure.
Right around 9/11, transferred to UC, and then spent the next 2 years there. So I did 2 years at Ohio State, 2 years at UC, and then graduated from UC. So
right on.
And then after I graduated, I was recruited by the FBI, and I left for the bureau. FLETC first. I was in FLETC, New Mexico. And then we came back to Quantico for some more training, and then started my federal career in May of 2004.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Where was I in May of 2004?
It was right after the war started, I think.
You know what?
About a year into it, I guess.
I had just gotten back from a course in Virginia, and we were in the field in May. We were getting ready to leave.
Yep.
I ended up going on leave around the 4th of July. That's when I proposed to Brittany, and then I left in August of 04 for
that sounds about
Iraq
right.
2.0
Yep.
and Phantom Fury, Second Battle Fallujah, all that. So, yeah. So tell me about the federal side. I bet the FBI was.
Yeah, I mean, I was
kind of high speed.
23 years old. I'd only really worked at the Shades. I worked at the Hamilton County Justice Center before getting recruited, but it was like during school and then after school. Once I graduated, I worked there for a little bit. But
a jailer?
No, I wasn't a jailer. I worked for the courts for the judges at intake.
Oh, right on.
Doing pretrial services, so not particularly interesting.
Yeah.
But it was like just a way to see like how things go, I guess. But I always remember what struck me was like the amount of people each day, all day, every day that are arrested in Hamilton County, and you're just like, this is total insanity. Like, most people have no idea what the hell's going on.
Well, and it's probably been like that since
from day one. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on and on, and it's just a constant cycle. Well, we can talk about that later, but as far as the federal time, I mean, I was 23 years old. I get hired by the FBI. I'm there at FBI headquarters protecting our intelligence and FBI employees. Walking around with submachine guns, and I mean, it was like, what the hell? I mean, I was so young, it was crazy.
How'd you get into the dog? Because I know you had a dog. You had a canine.
I was a canine handler for a big part of my career,
and you've got the Project Canine Hero.
Yeah, I mean that was a
too.
big, huge part of my life. When I started out at the bureau, I was just a regular federal police officer. I wasn't an agent. I was an FBI police uniformed officer, just like
Right on.
Secret Service
Okay.
has
Okay.
uniformed police. They have agents, but I was a uniformed officer, and I loved it. I believe in our uniformed police officers and what they
Yeah.
do. I liked wearing the uniform. I liked being out and representing our either the department or agency, whatever. But eventually in 2006, only after about a year and a half or 2 years of being there, I got selected to be the next bomb dog handler, and
That's just awesome.
That changed my life as well. So that was a huge
I bet.
shock to just being a regular officer, standing posts and checking IDs and whatever and walking around, whatever. But then you get a bomb dog, and it changes your whole perspective, your life. You now are responsible for this dog that the taxpayers are paying
he is
for.
your dog.
Yeah, and it's 24/7, and I was partnered with a canine named Kurt at the ATF training center in Northern Virginia, and spent the next, I guess, would have been 6 years or so doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just a great experience. I got to do a lot of cool stuff, and just loved what I did with the dogs. And he was a great dog, and he worked hard. And it took us a while. Like, I looked like a pig on roller skates when I first started. I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Oh, I bet.
And it took months of additional going out on the weekends.
Well, and you got to get used to the dog.
And the dog was a real pain in the ass too. I mean, he was a stubborn old bastard. Kurt was, and he was he was stubborn was probably the best word you could use to describe him. But he was a former seeing eye dog who bailed out. The ATF then gets them, either buys them or has them donated or whatever.
Well, and it's very specific types of dogs that they usually pick for that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, so the ATF canines are primarily, I think they might have some that are not, but I would say probably 99% of them, at least at that time, were Labradors.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's a Labrador Retriever, Black Lab. And the reason they use labs was I guess there's multiple reasons, but the big one is we as federal police and other agencies around the country that use them are around people a lot. They don't want them to be, go after people.
Sure, sure.
That's all you need. They're a member of your family as well. Like when they're not working, they're at home in the home. They're not to be crated. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not like a patrol dog or, that.
So it's funny you say that. What was that? There was a movie with Hilary Swank or one of them. Where she was a Marine sergeant. It's a true story.
Megan Levy.
Yeah, that's it.
What's her name? She was in Shooter as well.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Hilary Swank.
Kate Mara. That's
Kate Mara. That's it. Yeah,
smoking hot. Anyway, in Shooter, I don't know about the rest of them,
but I mean, that dog was literally hers. And then when they were like, all right, it's time for this dog to go to the, whatever, pastor or whatever, she was like, well, I want the dog. That's my dog. So, I mean, for Kurt, was it a lot like that?
Well, no. When you get selected and paired with your dog with an ATF dog, because you can get dogs from anywhere. With the ATF, they're the best in the world, in my opinion. And they pair you with that dog. They expect you to have that dog for life. So that dog becomes a member of your family.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not like trading it off. It's not like a military.
So you're basically adopting the dog, and it's your dog.
I would say you're fostering the dog until the day it retires, and it's yours. So Once he retired at the end of his service, which was about 7 years, the ATF just signs him over to you, and you keep him.
Wow.
So. But we were at the Bureau worked there for about 5 years together, and then we ended up transferring within the federal government to another agency within the intelligence community, and we worked there for about another 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then he came up on retirement, and then it was time to leave the DC area. So
wow.
I didn't want to commit to a second dog, and I wasn't happy with I made the decision to leave the FBI to go to this other agency. Thinking it would be a step up, or like I would get to do more with the dogs and help lead this dog program. But really, what it was a total con job. They brought me in just because they wanted my dog to be able to say they had, they were starting this program, and they had, we've got a handler. Yeah, exactly. He's from the FBI.
And he's been doing stuff for a while.
Yeah, and from my experience,
so it was more about the dog, and you're just like the sidekick.
Yeah, and I just wasn't happy. I went from working downtown Washington D.C. amongst people and tourists and families
probably
and
to like
regular people to Fort Belvoir on a fenced-in military compound where you had no authority. You couldn't carry your damn gun home. It took us 2 years to get take-home cars, and I was like, this is total horse shit. And I was not happy with the leadership there at the time, the guy that recruited me, all of it. I was pissed off, and I'm open and honest about it. And I was just like, I'm done. Like, this is not. I'm not going to get a second dog. I'm not going to commit to another 3 or 5 years to get a new dog, and then they would take your dog
just for them to shit on you,
right? Just if you decided to leave, they would take it. And I didn't want to go through that, so wife and I said enough's enough, and we just had our first child and said, it's time to go. So we moved back to Ohio. So
right on.
It was I loved my time at the Bureau. There were parts of the time I did enjoy, and some of the people I worked with definitely at that other agency. But
well, the experience alone. I mean, especially if you're wanting to stay,
but that's
in that community.
Well, that's where people have a misunderstanding, because you become a federal officer like me and you try to come back to a state like Ohio.
Oh, you're overqualified?
No, it wasn't so much that. It was, we don't recognize federal law enforcement.
Oh, my
so
gosh.
you're nothing. We don't want to deal with you.
So you're almost having to go through
you have to
academy.
You have to start from the beginning again. And that's what I ended up having to do.
But that doesn't give you a feather in your cap, kind of like?
No, because I mean, it's two different jobs. I was so specialized in like what I did with the dogs that like it doesn't really relate to really anything here. We don't have many bomb dogs in this region.
Sure. Drugs.
Yeah, patrol and stuff like that. But as far as like what I did, it wasn't really neat. It's not really neat. I mean, there's a few of them around, but not too many. And,
right.
Yeah, so I had to start over from the beginning. But it took a long time to kind of get over all that and get back into law enforcement as a whole. But eventually, it worked out in the end for me. So I'm here. I'm serving my community more than I would have ever imagined. I've got to do more things here for my current department than I'd ever dreamed of getting to do.
So before we get into that part, because I really want to concentrate on that part. So you're back here in Ohio. How long were you in Ohio when you were like, I'm gonna join the Coast Guard?
Well, I mean, I had done all these wonderful and interesting things during my federal career, but the one thing I never got to do, was serve in some sort of military capacity. I moved back to Ohio thinking I could pick back up in law enforcement.
Right.
But I just explained, they were like, nope, you're useless.
Well, so you're up to what, 2012 at this point?
This is we moved in 2013 from DC back to Ohio. We first moved to Columbus before we came back to Cincinnati. So we were in Columbus, and I got back. I'm like, I'm going to try to get a police job somewhere. But at that time, it's not like today where they can't hire anybody. Like, we can't hire officers. Like, back then,
oh my goodness,
you couldn't get a police job to save your life. So that's like kind of where I was. So I come back. I'm like, well, I don't know anybody. I'm not related to anybody. I can't get a damn police job in Columbus. Like, I don't know anybody here.
Right.
I mean, I did not really know anybody in law enforcement in Cincinnati either. But we get there. I'm like, I've got to do something. I got to continue to serve. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I had just walked away from what was a great career. I was respected. I had, a great dog. I worked hard. The dog was great.
And now you're starting
I come back
over
here and I have nothing. I mean, I was miserable. I resented having left Washington, even though I wasn't really too thrilled with like what was going on. At least there I was doing something productive. I come back to Ohio, I'm literally nothing. Like it took a toll.
Sure.
But that's when I found something called direct entry petty officer training in the Coast Guard. Wow. And that maybe saved me in a way from totally going over. I mean, who knows what would have happened to me if we'd still been in Columbus? I don't know. I really don't know.
Wow.
What would have happened? But I found this program that the Coast Guard brings people in who are professionals or police or previous military experience, and you go through their training at Cape May at the Coast Guard Training Center, and then you come out as a petty officer and you start your military career as in the reserves. So that's what I got to do. And it was an interesting experience. I'll tell you.
I bet.
We come in a little bit older. So I was like 31 or so when I enlisted.
Wow.
So I was a little bit older. So, most people go in like you did after high school or whatever, early, young.
Yeah, I was 19.
I had a whole career. Yeah. Then come into it. and those company commanders didn't care much for us. I'll tell you,
Oh,
they
I
hated
bet.
us.
I
Yeah,
bet.
they hated us. So we go through that, we make it through, and then come out. And I was a public affairs specialist, so I write children's books for fun. They thought that that would be a great thing, and in reality, it should be called media affairs, is what they should call it.
Yeah.
And it was not for me. I mean, you're taking calls about death and destruction,
Right.
and
Right.
writing things about people dying, and just
So when I
wasn't.
was stationed in Maryland, the Defense Media Agency, I think is what they call it, is right there on Fort Meade.
Yeah, I was there for training
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
well, I forget the name of the course, but it was media and dealing with like crisis stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is way beyond like what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was gonna be. I thought I was gonna. I don't know what I thought, but I would think been happier and better serving in the Coast Guard, doing some sort of like something around boats or something, doing something like
Yeah.
hands-on, more out in the field, rather than sitting in a cube like typing up press
Sure.
releases. And
Hey, I'm gonna be on a cutter doing cool counter drug
Exactly.
interdiction.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
Now, that's not to say that nothing I did was worthwhile. That's not what the fact at all. Like, I got to
Sure.
do some really interesting things. I got to deploy down to the border in 2019 to help Border Patrol.
See,
That
that's
was-
cool.
That was the highlight of my whole Coast Guard career. I mean, it was unbelievable to be down on the border to see what the American people don't see and
So
help out.
my son was actually cutting the grass for the oldest McFly.
Crash Bandicoot.
He was cutting grass for a petty officer, Coastie, and that guy, he was doing border crossing kind of stuff, but like from I don't know if it was like an intel perspective or ops intel, like more indications and warnings kind of stuff. But it was interesting. Every time I went over there to talk to him, he had just gotten back from doing something else at school.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like growing up here in Cincinnati. The Coast Guard isn't even a thought. Like, you don't really think about it at all.
Yeah.
And then I remember looking into it a little bit toward the end of high school, like Coast Guard Academy, and thinking, oh, that's interesting. But like, you think of Army and Air Force, like that's just what it is here.
Right.
But then you see like the Coast Guard's everywhere. They're in every state. They're in charge of the
All
waterways of the country.
waterways.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
they're all over on the Great Lakes. I mean, that's like a lot of them are up. That's where I
Yeah.
was. So they're just all over. People don't see them if you're in the interior of the country as much as you
Right.
would like if you lived in some small town on Lake Erie or
I
on
actually
the coast somewhere.
my last show with Commander Colbert, one of the trips that I took with JROTC was down to Pensacola, and we actually got to go on a cutter
Nice.
down there, and we actually got to go out into like Pensacola Bay, that area, and those boats are freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got to go out on them a few times, and we did some maneuvers and stuff, and like it's like 20-year-old kids driving these things.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, like. So it was really. I mean, I had a good experience. I'm not saying it was negative or anything by any means at all. I think I would have been happier, and I probably would have stayed in after my 8-year time was
Sure.
up if I had been something more of a a gun toter or like doing something like that. But
Yeah.
it worked. I mean, it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it.
Well, it was a good transition period, I think, too.
Yeah, and
to
it helped
kind
me
of help you.
exactly. It helped me, I think, mentally, emotionally, kind of realize that my whole federal career was done. I'll never do that again, and I had this to do, and it was important to me, and I was able to help some people somewhere
Right.
at some points, and but it was also very like stressful. Like we responded to hurricanes, and
Yeah.
you're down there dealing with these poor people and seeing what the destruction some of these
Oh, I
storms
bet.
would do, and
I
you're just
bet.
like Jesus, and you're it was just some bad stuff to see, and you feel sorry for our citizens that are down in like Texas or Florida that
Right.
are having to go through this stuff, and
Right.
we're up here where that it doesn't really affect us at all. So it was great. I met some great people in it, but I was just a low level junior petty officer, and I did my 8 years, and COVID played a part in that too, because COVID hit like right around the time my enlistment was getting to kind of wrap up.
Yeah.
and it was like we weren't drilling, we weren't doing anything. They were canceling deployments.
That
It's
was so
like,
crazy at that
yeah,
time.
I'm like I'm done. Like, and then I started to kind of transition here once I kind of got my act together as far as my career again in Cincinnati. So that was starting to move, and I was like, I don't want to have to deal with going to drill up on the
Sure,
Great Lakes or
sure.
the 2 weeks, God knows where each year, wherever that's going to be, or deployments or
Oh, and it's
whatever.
such a
So
sometimes, especially when you're trying to transition into another career, that can hinder a lot of things when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
when you're
So
doing that
I
stuff.
think it served its total purpose for me, and it was at the right time, and it just kind of ended unceremoniously. I mean, I can't look back and say like I did anything outstanding. It wasn't like I was just a little piece that helped here and
Sure.
there, the big machine, and my time was done. And quietly walked away, and that was the end of that. So
Wow.
yeah.
So going into uh, the season you're in now, um, so you transitioned into being a police officer here in Cincinnati in 2020 then.
A little bit before that. So once I got back to Cincinnati and I had to kind of make a decision, like, what do I do? Do I go into some sort
Sure.
of white collar job and be absolutely miserable, lose my mind, or do I try to get back in law enforcement? So I decided to go back in law enforcement, and I talked to some folks, and eventually, after some time, and I'm not going to get into the whole nuts and bolts of it and all this nonsense that I had to hoops that I had to jump
Sure.
through, all this
Sure.
bullshit that the state of Ohio puts on like federal police or any officer from any other state. They make it so hard to like get any credit for what you've done. I had basically start over, but I had people that assisted and helped me and swore me in and got me in the academy, at least start,
Wow.
and then move on. So it took a little bit of time, but yeah, by 2020, 2021, things were on the move. I was working for a private canine company, running some of the major sports leagues around the country, helping out
That's cool.
with some,
That's
I
all
was going to
right.
say professional baseball, professional football,
Sure.
things of that nature.
Kind of the
Huh. Interesting.
yeah.
And the Reds. Oh, look at that, Tom Browning. So just behind you.
I kind of like this sign right here. For anybody that's out there watching and you're from a different state, the table that we're sitting at came out of a Skyline chili. And for those that are here in Cincinnati, Skyline's just a staple here in Cincinnati. So for him to have a table and seats, I'm jealous, dude.
I'm a Cincinnatian. Skyline is
Through and
part
through.
of my religion.
Yeah. Oh, hey, hey. I mean, that's comfort food, man. When I'm
Yes,
feeling down and my fat ass needs to get something to eat, well, I'm going to Skyline.
yeah, I mean, grew up eating it. Ate it even in DC. We would make it, or there was even a place that
Yep.
had Cincinnati chili. So it's always been a big part of my life. Not so much anymore. I don't really go that often anymore. Um, but make it at home a lot. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
important. But yeah, just it's part of our culture here. So
Yeah. That's cool though. You got to, I mean, I'm sure that those companies had like pretty cool like perks and whatnot, so you could probably
um,
get in and watch a little bit of the game or
I mean, I was running like entire stadiums with multiple dog teams. So like I was
you
running
were
around like
super busy,
I
like
was
a
I was
chicken with a
running
head cut
around
off.
checking on the dogs, checking on the handlers, and it was great. I mean, I had a lot of fun. This, especially the first few years before COVID really kicked off, and we the whole country basically shut down. But those first
Yeah.
couple seasons, like working the football games, working the baseball games, had a great time. The dogs were amazing. I mean, my dog that I had, her name's Molly. She's still with us. She's upstairs, but she could work so fast compared to an ATF dog. ATF dog is very like you check
It's
here,
methodical.
check here, yeah,
Yeah.
check. Molly could come into a room and just run around like a lunatic and find it within 30 seconds, and usually off leash. So just a different type of work, and it was really fun. But um, that I did that for about 5 years, running around the country for part of that time, New York and Pennsylvania, and running all over the
Wow.
place. And then eventually, around 2020, I guess winter of 2021, one of our local departments that I'd always wanted to work for announced, "Hey, we're hiring." And they had an age cutoff, which was coming up for me. It would have been 41. And I'm like, I really thought about it. I'm like, do I really want to apply for this and go through this again, these processes with like
Yeah.
back in the day, you would apply for like a department like this and 800 people would show up for the test for one
Yikes.
spot. These days, it's just like open hiring now because nobody
Well, it's
wants,
all online. Everything.
it's not even that. It's just nobody wants to be a police officer anymore. So
fair.
So
Fair.
now, like, I apply, I get through the whole thing. They're like, we want you. I'm like, oh, man, like, I'm happy doing this dog stuff. I'm like, what do I do? Do I just turn it down and regret it the rest of my life that I should have tried it? Or do I just stick with the dog stuff? So I made a decision. I'm going to go for it and took the position and as a patrolman, just a low level turd that I am, and went to that. And so now serve with the suburban Cincinnati Police Department now, which
That's
is
just incredible. And for those out there, this guy right here has been on the news more in the last 3 years than I've ever been on the news. And I think mine was like seriously a kind of a shot in the dark. Mine was actually in the newspaper after I got back from Iraq in 03. And so you were talking about writing books. You were just in the news for writing a kid's book. Um, you've got a veterans outreach, and that's really what I'm interested in. And I'm sure other I hope that there are some police officers out there watching that might be able to, take some checks from you to maybe make something work for their own department. But between writing multiple children's books and this veterans outreach and then Project Canine Hero, and I know you've done some other stuff. Kind of walk me through like what external things that you've done with the department that has helped veterans, that have helped children, that have helped people trying to get back on their feet.
Yeah, so I took the job with the department in 2022. It's a major department, major city, one of our suburbs. Got there, and it was from here. It was really, overwhelming to see like what goes on in one of our suburbs. Like,
Yeah.
people would be shocked to see like
Oh, I
the
bet.
things that go on, and I'm just like, I grew up here. Like, what is happening? Like, what is going on there? People are like, oh, it's always been like this, and it's like you just never saw it, I guess.
I use the word naive. I mean,
yeah.
Again, us growing up,
So,
we were kind of sheltered, I think, in the Sycamore School District and in Blue Ash, Montgomery, and in the surrounding area.
Yeah.
And so you get into these other areas with more commercial and industry, and things are a little rougher, I think.
Yeah, so you see all this negativity and all these things. And
Yeah.
It's like, man, and I'm new. Like, I haven't really done a job like that. Even the federal police, like, you're not responding to calls. You're not, taking 911 calls. You're not like writing reports,
chasing
all the time.
people.
Yeah, it's very rare.
People,
It's very rare.
DUIs.
It happens, but it's
Sure.
rare. This job, it's like every day. It's something crazy. So anyway, so about a year or so into it, maybe not even a year into it, I wanted to do something positive, something productive. I'd been part of the Hamilton County Veteran Outreach Task Force, but that kind of, I wouldn't say it fell apart, but just kind of like, I don't know, slowly disappeared during COVID. And then I don't even know if they still do it.
I bet it was hard. Honestly, I bet it was incredibly hard through COVID to get anything positive into the community because people were freaking out over, oh my God, your germs.
Yeah, I mean, it existed before COVID, but then COVID hits. Some of the people that were running it retired, and then it was just
Sure.
like, it's like kind of went away. So I came up with the idea. I said, I'd like to do something similar where it's a veteran outreach program through the police department. I'll run it, and it was they're like, yeah, this is great. Let's do it. And then I actually brought in people from the Attorney General's office from Columbus They came in and they were more than happy to hear about it. They wanted us to do it. They didn't really assist, but they have this whole mechanism that says, "Hey, we will support you, in the idea and whatever we can do." I didn't
That's
really need them.
important.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't.
really
In
important.
the end, I didn't really need them to do much because I kind of just built it all myself. But there's no like blueprint for it. It was just like, all right, this is what I have. This is what I'm going to do.
Ground floor, man.
Yeah, and in
Grassroots.
each veteran we encounter, it's a different situation. So you're like having to pull from whatever resource you need at the time. So we're helping people quite often. I'll get a call from one of our patrol officers. Hey, I've got this going on. I got a Marine. I got a Navy guy. I got a homeless
Oh, when
this
you
that.
called me that one day, and I was like, man, it, it breaks my heart when I hear, and I've got a huge heart for Marines because, of course, I am one. Um, but whenever I hear that there are vets having a hard time, it's like, how can we? And again, the name of the show, right? The 30-inch step. It's the basis of everything that we do, because if we can't move together, and I think a lot of veterans forget how to lean on their brothers and sisters. And so, you doing this, that is the 30-inch step. That is full 30-inch step. So, um I know you had talked about a gentleman that you helped. He had like a bunch of brush and trees and stuff that were leaned against the house that you helped out, and it's that kind of stuff that I think is the most intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of older veterans that are just kind of. I wouldn't say they're well. Some are homebound. I mean, they're in
Yeah,
there all day. They may not
kind of sedentary.
may or may not have family, and sometimes the family doesn't want to help their own father or grandfather. You're just like, wow. So I've tried to get out in the community. I've met with the VFW and other organizations. Say, hey, like I'm here in our city. I can help.
Yeah,
And just like reach out to me, and I'll see what I can do, or use my network of people who either volunteer or whatever we got to do to make whatever happen for this. So yeah, we've done a lot of things like around people's homes, or if they need, like we had one guy that had like his whole house was being taken over by vines and whatnot. Came in, we cut that all down, took care of it. We're doing one now in the backyard, tearing up a bunch of stuff and getting rid of weeds and stuff like that. So that's like simple stuff that we can do that for people that live in the community. But we have a lot of transient veterans too that come through because we got a lot of
yeah,
hotels,
yeah,
and these people come in. They might maybe have an episode, or they're homeless, or just living in a hotel temporarily. But there might sometime at some point they might go into crisis, and then we got to deal with that and get them the
sure.
resources. So
So I would say for anybody out there that is a police officer anywhere in the country, I challenge you to uh, you know partner with Officer Altman here to grow a program and start helping veterans across the country. Um, I also, if you need to get in touch with him, you can email the.30.inch.step@gmail.com, and tell me what kind of help you may need in whatever part of the country, and we'll try and figure it out. Um, uh, as far as outreach, do you work with anybody down at the Cincinnati VA?
yeah, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so I have a whole contact list of people from there, and they actually have for law enforcement a special. It's not really a group, but they'll do like a tour, and they'll put you in contact with the people you need to. It's like a whole half a day. You come down there, they
Very
show
cool.
you everything, like what would happen if you would bring someone in. So if we have someone in crisis, and I'm there, and I get to them, then I'll call the VA. I just go direct to who I need to talk to, and I don't have to sit and wait through a bunch of nonsense like menus and all this crap. I just call them up. Hey, I got this going on. We're coming down. Okay, meet us outside at the main entrance. Whatever. We come down, hand them off, talk to them, get everything squared away, and make sure that they get some help. So
That's
it's
awesome.
very beneficial. And I've got some other contacts there with their police department, who are great guys too. But um, yeah, they've been very helpful. There's also the VA up in the Dayton area.
Yeah.
I haven't really worked with them just because our VA is much closer to, um, where I work,
Sure.
so I don't really go up to Dayton. But yeah, I would just say that if you are trying to start a program at your police department somewhere in the country, find your local VA, go talk to them. They should have, it's called a blue carpet tour. It's for law enforcement.
Oh,
And
wow.
they'll show you the whole like path of like what needs to happen.
Is there any websites that I can share in the description of this particular show?
I'll see if I can get you the at least the Cincinnati should have a blue carpet tour like a link or something like that.
Sure,
just so you can see.
After we're done here, we'll look it up.
Yep.
Awesome. So I always like to put faith in here. What keeps you driving forward? Like, I mean, we bring God into the equation, and I feel like, especially for what you are doing, I mean, you've got God with you every step of the way, and he protects you, and he's carrying you sometimes. I can really feel that having the presence of God in your daily duties, it has to be there for you to be able to help other veterans, or just interact with anybody in the community.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm a person of faith. I'm not a religious person, I would say.
I'm not either.
Yeah, never really have been, but
I follow Jesus.
I just want I follow, the Judeo-Christian values that I think that this country was founded upon.
Yeah.
And I just believe in right and wrong. And if I am just a regular middle class kid from Cincinnati. All I want to try to do is help and be of use and be productive and help people at the end of the day. That is my role. I see a police officer's role, and people might disagree, but I think a role of a police officer is also to help in the community, not just law and order, lock them up, write the citation, do the report. Like, I think there should be more to it than that. Otherwise,
there's got to be community interaction.
Yeah, you will lose your mind at the negativity that the job, I think, it doesn't matter what part of the country. If you let the negativity get to you and the destruction and the
10%, you've heard the 10% rule
I haven't
before?
Heard that one, no.
So the 10% rule, for the Marines out there, I know you're going to know. So you're always dealing with the 10% instead of teaching and training the 90%. And I say that in a societal way, that, you interact with the 10%, not with the 90%. And I'm not saying you specifically, but police in general are usually dealing with the 10%. And those are the those are the 10% that,
causing the problems.
are causing all the problems.
Yep.
And so when you're always in that, you're in that mode, I think for a lot of police officers, it's probably really hard for them to kind of extract themselves from that 10% to be able to be like, let me try something here, like what you're doing with the veterans outreach, the books, the nonprofits that you help.
Yeah, I think too, though, we're at a point now with the way things really, I think since COVID, it's just officers around the country, just especially in our major cities and major counties, are now at the point where they're just like, what's the point anymore? Because what they do doesn't really
and the media doesn't
just let
help
them out.
either.
Yeah, you lock these people up, they're right back out. So I mean, that's a whole topic for another day. But
yeah, man,
I just want to do something positive. I think helping our veterans and being part of that, it's a kind of a small part of what I do, but it's important to me. I think the people in the community appreciate what it's trying to be.
Right.
And maybe if I help a couple people along the way, like truly help them, I can only, sometimes show people the path. They have to take it.
Right.
But it's better than just being like, just they're whatever, let them be and let's send them on their way. Like, if they're a veteran, I can help them. I can get them maybe in touch with mental health or food or whatever it might be. if they're homeless on living literally under a bridge, and I've seen this before, like you're just like, let me get you a night at the hotel,
Right.
because it's going to be
Right.
20 degrees out and we got to do something. So I want to try to maintain some humanity doing this work
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be positive, as much as I can.
Well, I really appreciate you sitting down with me tonight. And for everybody out there, again, I challenge you to, sit down with a veteran, talk to them, see what their needs are. If they need groceries, hey, let me help you out with that. Let me take you. Um, so that was a good 30-inch step I think we took tonight. So until next time, I am Gunnery Sergeant Brian Griffith with the 30-inch step. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.